Hey guys, it's me Jake from JakeMan21642, and today I've got a 1-year update video for you guys of my 2002 Subaru Outback LL Bean edition. Yeah, hard to believe, but it has already been a year with this car. Well, pretty much. I think I got it like September 12th or 13th last year, and it's currently Labor Day weekend, so basically a year. I guess I'll go ahead and start this video out like I try to do with all of my update videos and say, my fleet currently consists of this, the 2015 Mercedes-Benz E400 Cabriolet, and then my 86 Toyota MR2. I don't know if it's just a running joke on my channel, but every video I get questions. 240's gone, Beetle's gone, it's just these three at the moment. But anyway, this is my 02 Outback H6 3.0 LL Bean edition. For those who don't know, my grandparents bought this car brand new in 2002. Last year they decided they finally wanted a new car. They picked up a 15 Volvo XC70 T6 Platinum. I mean, definitely a pretty good upgrade from this thing. At the time, I was kind of in between cars. I was looking for something that was kind of a project, but also something I could drive, keep the miles off of my nicer car. And I kind of just bought this, not really knowing what I was going to do with it. If you go back through my videos, actually, I didn't even make a video of this thing until like 2 months after I got it, because at first, I didn't know if I was just going to give a Viking funeral or fix a few things, flip it, but this car is definitely here for the long haul now. It has treated me so well. I've put about 8,000 miles on it, which I don't think is bad considering I have 3 cars and I drive things at work all the time. I don't think that's bad at all. But outside, we'll kind of go around. This car hasn't really had a lot of miles put on it since the last time you guys saw it. I mean, it's summer. I just bought a Mercedes convertible. Kind of been getting the new car, got to drive it everywhere phase out, but this, I'm definitely trying to drive it back and forth for work a little more, keep miles off the Mercedes, and especially like if the weather's bad or something. But today, the car just got an oil change. I gave it a nice kind of mini detail, foam cannoned it, scrubbed it down, conditioned the seats inside, threw a little tire shine on. This car though, since the last time you guys saw it, so it's gotten some major work done that kind of was deferred from when my grandparents had it, not because they put it off, just I think the shop they were taking it to, especially this shop in the area that it was in, they probably assumed anyone driving a 20-year-old car is just doing the bare minimum to keep it on the road. So there were a lot of little things this car needed, but it made it a way better daily driver. This is definitely one of my favorite cars I've ever owned now. So since the last time you guys saw it, it got 4 new struts all the way around. I threw a set of Monroe Quick struts on it. Actually had one of the guys at work do all of this for me. So 4 new struts. It got a new transmission mount, which the one on it was original. Despite the transmission being rebuilt, someone just slapped the original mount back on. So the 185,000 mile transmission mount's gone now. That fixed a lot of vibration. This thing shifts like a completely different car. You can't feel the engine torquing back and forth anymore when you're accelerating. It really smoothed things out. Got those 2 things done. Got new tie rods on the front. And then after that, I drove the car for about 500 miles. And this front wheel bearing had always kind of had a little noise in it for most of the time I owned the car, but it got loud and it started to get a death wobble. So I parked it when I went out of town to Vermont, dropped it off at my buddy's shop, and they did 2 new wheel bearings, front hubs, everything like that, which that alone improved the car so much. Finally got rid of most of the wheel shake. I do need to do the steering rack bushings. It still has a little bit of play around like 65, 70. That's not hard, literally 2 bolts for each one. I meant to do it this weekend, but I just forgot to order them, so that's on the way soon. After that, I noticed when I changed the front brakes, this caliper was a little questionable, and it finally started to lock up like all the time. I'd get home from work after the car was pulling on the highway and I would smell brakes, so went ahead and slapped a new caliper on this side. Brakes for this car have surprisingly been difficult. So when I replaced the front pads and rotors, the pads that Rock Auto sent did not fit the calipers that were on it. So then when I got this caliper, the pads that I had to go out and get when I did all of that didn't fit into this caliper. So this currently has the original pads that Rock Auto sent me. Thank God I actually held on to them. And see, I did scrub it down and clean the wheels today, but Just a little bit here and there. I was kind of in a rush. I mean, it is I keep it clean, I keep it tire shined up, but at the end of the day, this thing is my beater. So I need to replace the caliper on this side. The ones Rock Auto sent me also got lost in the mail and then eventually showed up. So I know that's a terrible thing to do. I'm driving on mismatched calipers at the moment. I just drive this thing around the city. It's not going anywhere. Other than that, I'm trying to think. Back brakes were done right before I got the car. Tires as well. The same Goodyear Assurance Tourings that have been on it, comforted Tourings. And these, honestly, I have to say, are pretty impressive for what they are. I think these are Costco tires. My grandparents put a brand new set on like 3 months before they sold me the car. They didn't even tell me they put these on the car because they knew I was going to tell them to stop spending money on it. They actually are really comfortable tires. They handle good enough for what they are. Great in the rain, great in the snow. They're pretty quiet, especially in a kind of hollow, loud old Japanese car like this. So really no bad things to say about them. Up top, you can see I've got the front sunroof popped at the moment. Then the Yakima roof basket that I did pick up on Marketplace. You can see outside tinted windows, which have been done pretty much the entire time I've had it. Do have 20% on the front and then 5 all the way around the rear. And that is just how I like it on a beater car like this. You can see too, it has picked up some more stickers. But I mean, otherwise I have to say, I really am impressed by this car. I never thought I'd own a Subaru, especially an Outback, but I love station wagons. I grew up with this car. I mean, as much as I wanted my grandparents to get a new car, when it was time to get rid of this, I really was sad to see it go. So I'm glad to have it. I love it. This thing is such a great city car. If you live somewhere like I do with just absolutely god-awful roads, this is such a great city cruiser. The H6 is decent power for what it is. I mean, gas mileage is pretty abysmal, and these do need premium. But I mean, I couldn't ask for more from a beater car. Up front, these were on last time I did a video, but I did put a set of new headlight housings in it. The old ones were just beyond, even though this was a garage car, they were still faded. And they were starting to leak water inside as well. Go ahead and start it. Get inside. Inside, pretty much nothing has changed. Probably has gotten a little dirtier because, once again, this is kind of just the daily beater. It's still super clean. I mean, you can tell, once again, this thing was in a garage its entire life. We'll go ahead, start it. And you can hear that H6 still fires up absolutely perfect. That's one thing I have to say is this engine can take a beating. I don't think I have ever treated a car, I don't want to say as poorly as this one, but I don't think I've ever driven a car as hard as I've driven this one, and 185,000 miles. I just changed the oil today. 6 quarts came out and 6 quarts went right back in. I do 5K intervals. I think I changed it around like 182 or 183, but it had been a while, especially now since it's right at 185. A lot easier to remember. So one thing that actually is working at the moment, but I have been having some issues with lately, and I wanted to do this video actually to see if anyone had some tips on this, because I get comments all the time from people saying that they have the same car. So if any of you guys have had the same issue, let me know. Air conditioning at the moment works fine. I mean, blows super hard, ice cold. If I drive the car for longer than 30-40 minutes, it'll just get hot and never come back. Especially if I get in the car and drive it really hard, it won't take long at all for it to just go out. But I've done some research. I replaced the relay because some people are saying it could have been that. You can see I actually have the box from that down here, and I think that helped a little bit. It seems like the AC stays on for longer, but it'll still just cut out sometimes. And the thing is too, like if I get up to a stoplight, bump the car in neutral, cut it off and back on, air comes back ice cold. So compressor's definitely good. I checked the charge. It was actually overcharged a little bit because I thought it was just low on Freon at first. Car isn't overheated at all or anything weird like that, because when I first got it and it would overheat, the air would go out when it would start to overheat. But no issues with that at all. The car still drives fine otherwise. The air conditioning works, I would say 90% of the time, but I just have had a couple issues with it cutting out. I'm honestly about to just kind of say screw it, because it's the end of summer anyway, and it's a $500 car, and figure it out next year. But had this happen, let me know, because it would be nice to just get that taken care of. Probably just going to take it to the Subaru specialist my grandparents used to use. I don't really feel like screwing with it, and the car has treated me so well at this point. I really don't mind spending a little bit of money on it, considering I've pretty much done the rest of the work. But otherwise inside, I mean, Momo steering wheel, as I mentioned before, holding up great. Leather on the sides, the wood grain up top. I do put the sunshade up in here to try to protect this, because it is absolutely immaculate from being in a garage. Everything else, same as it's been. Like I said, probably a little dirtier, because this is like my running around car. I mean, I'll throw a set of wheels in the back. You can see I leave the headrests out, because I rarely have people in here, and if it didn't block the back speakers, I would just keep the back seat folded down too. But, you know, on the weekends, I'll throw things in here. Even, like, stuff for around the yard. I've told my roommate, I'm like, don't dirty up your CX-5. Just take the Subaru. I don't care. I mean, even my grandparents treated this thing like a truck. That's why they love having a station wagon. But anyway, otherwise inside, you can see, like I said, 185,000 miles. Now that it is kind of turning into fall weather, I'm definitely... and the new car phase is worn off the Mercedes. I'm definitely trying to drive this thing a little bit more. Once again, going back to the air, it's still working fine at the moment. Like, it's so hit or miss, I almost don't want to take it somewhere, because I know it's not going to act up. But, I mean, most of the time I can make it to work, I can make it home and have air conditioning the entire way there and back. Even throughout the day, if I just let the car sit, you know, I can get in it and run errands and stuff, and it has air. But if I just drive it for long enough, it goes out and doesn't want to come back. I can't remember if I had this last video or not, but, I do love the factory deck in this car. I know I go on about it every video, but it looks great, it sounds great, it does everything I need to do, and I'm just kind of a sucker for that factory look. I mean, this isn't even the Macintosh, which was top of the line, and this car has a killer stereo in it. I still haven't blown or replaced any of the speakers or anything, and it sounds that good. 6 CD changer down below, but what I was getting to is, I did end up buying this little Taltronics Bluetooth module on Amazon, and I just get in, hold the button down, it connects to my phone. I plugged that into the tape to aux, and so I've actually got a nice clean little Bluetooth setup in this car, and it works great, it sounds great, I can make phone calls with it perfectly fine. It does use my phone as the microphone, but as long as it's not in my pocket, it works great. I did add this, I know this was in here last video, I did add this MagSafe wireless charger, which is awesome. I can just get in, put my phone right there. I can use it for navigation. Once again, the Bluetooth comes right through the stereo. All of that is plugged into splitter down there, which I still do have an extra port on, but all of that right there. 4-speed auto, same as it has been. This is just a typical old lazy slush box, but it gets the job done, and it feels a lot happier now that it does have a new transmission mount. I do need to change the fluid in it soon. I think that was done recently, but it was done by that kind of shady shop I didn't like, so I need to get whatever's in there out of there, and just for peace of mind so I know it was done. But I've mentioned before, transmission was built only like 60,000 miles ago in this car. Back here, heated seats, which are awesome, since this is definitely the winter beater. This is probably the most unstoppable car I've ever driven in the snow, so in the bad weather that we do get here this year, obviously the Mercedes is not going on the road. Leather is held up great for what it is. Driver's side does show a little wear, but I try to keep it clean. I condition it pretty much every time I wash the car. All of that. Center console. And the sunroof up there, which this one does just vent. And then that one will slide open. I think I mentioned before that the motor for this one was broken. It's actually not the motor, it's just the little props that push this up have gone out. So what I usually do is I'll take a cassette tape and just wedge it in there, and it will hold the sunroof up. I mean, I know that's so ghetto, but the thing is, this forces you to pop this up to open that one. So it's actually nice when the little props go out, because you can keep this one closed and open the back sunroof. It's this typical Subaru where the sunroofs are not tinted, so I hardly ever open that one. I'll just vent it and kind of crack it like that to get a little fresh air. But we'll step out, walk around the car. I did not plan on making this a long video, and of course it already is. Backseat, everything is exactly the same. I'm pretty sure that t-shirt was even laying in here last video. Once again, beater car. I rarely carry people in here, so I don't even put the headrest back. And you can see, I noticed this earlier when I was washing it. The junkyard taillight that I got because this taillight was leaking water has also started leaking water. So, typical Subaru problem. I am not paying absolute eBay rip-off prices on these. They're like 99 bucks for a used one on eBay. I'm just going to go back to the junkyard and pick another $20 one. But inside of the trunk, you can see, I think I had this before, but I did get a brand new OEM cargo cover for it. One that came with the car was stuck out and just completely collapsed. So I love having that. I went ahead and just replaced it with a brand new one. This one does have the Subaru cargo caddy from when it was brand new. I've never even seen another one with that. There are the headrests. And here is the old caliper this is the original 185,000 mile one from up front. And you can see just one of these slides. There was a shop that did her brakes and they just did not put any grease on it. This slide was almost welded in there. So definitely end of life for that. Still need to go back and get my core charge, which is why that's in here. Otherwise, detailing, junk, and a bunch of other jackets and junk from in the car when it was cold out. Amazingly, I think these have been replaced once. The trunk struts, for as old as they look, still do work fine. Like I said earlier in this video, I just love this car. I mean, it totally suits me. It's great for where I live. It also blends in super well where I live. All of my friends call this car Richmond camouflage. And it's just treated me so well. I 100% understand the appeal of Subarus now as much as I used to rip on them. Also forgot to mention that the bullet hole, of course, is still there. The little bit more paint has flaked off of it, but still there. This I noticed earlier. We had some crazy storms earlier this week, and this was the car parked behind my house, so I think a branch or something may have hit it. They actually cleaned off pretty well, but you can see it left little marks. I was mad for a second, but then I remembered it has a bullet hole and the paint on the hood was kind of already trashed to begin with. But under the hood, like I said, I changed the oil today. Since the last time you guys saw it, literally the day after I made the last update video raving about how problem-free and great this car had been, the alternator died as I was driving to work. So, brand new O'Reilly's generic special alternator because they were the closest place to work that had it in stock. Super easy to replace. I did it in the back lot at work with the tools that I keep in my office, and it took me like 30 minutes. So I don't even care if this one doesn't last long. It probably won't. It's a cheap remanufactured one, lifetime warranty. I'll take the 30 minutes and pop another one in. Otherwise, though, I did actually spray off and clean under the hood the other day. I still can't get a lot of just this gunk from when it was leaking coolant for so long, and once again, their shop just couldn't diagnose where coolant was going. Seriously. So I kind of need to get in there and just scrub that off, but otherwise pretty clean under the hood for what it is. You can see the new quick struts up front. As I mentioned before, I did drill some holes in the airbox. It sounds cool. But otherwise, rock solid. Head gaskets were done. I mean, typical Subaru, it had to get head gaskets at one point. Head gaskets were done a couple years ago. They're new multi-layer steel gaskets. They were done by a Subaru specialist. So this thing shows no signs of quitting. Super healthy engine. It's had premium its entire life, which I can't remember if I've mentioned before, but if you have an H6, these have to have premium. These engines get so hot under the hood that the back two cylinders, they will ping if they have regular, and that's usually what takes out the head gaskets on these. That's probably also why the original head gaskets on this car lasted like 165,000 miles, is my grandparents have put premium in it its entire life. That's pretty much all I have to say. A year in with this car, It shows no signs of quitting. It's not going anywhere. If I had to go down to one car, I would probably just hold on to this because it does everything so well. It's a respectable looking car to pull up in, but at the same time, if I bump a trash can out of the way, I'm not going to be mad. So as always, guys, this is my beater. This is just a little update of it. Any questions, comments, anything like that, drop them down below. Thanks for watching.